I like how when I turn on the recorder, it lets me know that there's no SD card in here. And then I remember to go back to my computer and put an SD card in there. Oh, man. It's day 23, and this has been a very, very tough day for me, let me tell you. A very, very tough day. It actually shouldn't even have ever started like that. I mean, I'm okay. Nothing bad happened. I want to make that clear. I don't want to make it seem like I'm drawing it out and then I'm going to hit you with, something really bad happened. Nothing bad happened. I actually got up and I went to the movies, which was absolutely my plan. I stopped at Chick-fil-A on the way to get a chicken biscuit to sneak into the theater, which I did. And that was, I felt like a badass for a moment, and that was kind of cool. So I saw 2 movies today. The first one I saw was 21 Bridges, which I think I mentioned yesterday in the podcast. And that was a lot of fun. It was, it's a cop shoot 'em up, kind of movie. Right up my wheelhouse. I love those kind of movies. They're predictable as all hell, but they're just extremely fun. They're a lot of fun to watch. Drinking some water here. And then the second movie I saw was the Mr. Rogers movie, I think it's called A Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood or something like that. Which I kind of wish I read what it was about first, the synopsis, because I thought it was just like a biography about Fred Rogers. Who didn't watch Mr. Rogers when you grew up as a kid, right? I mean, I love the guy. I absolutely loved watching his show as a kid. And the movie was about a lot more, and to be as frank as possible, it hit me like a fucking Mack truck. So I don't want to spoil the entire movie for people that want to see it, but let's just say there is a very strong story in there and this is not about Fred Rogers, but this is about a person that Fred Rogers or Mr. Rogers interacts with in the movie. And it has a heavy, heavy story about a man who has troubles with his father. And let me tell you, I can certainly identify with that. And I was tearful in the theater. I had to get out the moment the credits came on. I had to get the hell out of there. I had to get home. I got home, my wife was there watching TV, and I just broke down. I probably cried for like 20 minutes. If I had to put a timer on it, it was one of the most toughest cries I've ever had. I don't think that I've had a good cry in a really long time. And, I could take all the cool guy photos that I want to and post them on my Instagram. I can put up this front that, here's this really happy person, which I generally am happy. But it's easy to put up this kind of facade like, hey, look at me. And on the inside, the reality is that there's a lot of me that's broken on the inside. And I think that so often I try to find the positive in things, and I try to do good things, and I try to stay busy, to run around in circles around these problems and try to avoid them. And you go to the movies it's just the most routine day ever. You go to the movies and you just get stopped dead in your tracks. That's really tough. Excuse me. That's really tough. But I made it out of there alive. What can I say? And look, there's a big story. For those of you that may be new here, there is a much larger story about my father and I that I don't talk about too terribly often, because I try to just keep it off my mind. But I did share it in a podcast one time at length, so I will just say this. Episode number 31, January 24th, 2018. And you can hear all the real raw emotions as I lay out the entire relationship between my father and I. And as a matter of fact, if you're interested in to hear how this story came about, I would recommend that you stop this podcast right now and go listen to that one. It's a bit of a long one, so you may not have a lot of time right now, but if you are actually curious, I would recommend you go back to that episode and listen to it. Episode 31, called #MySideOfTheStory. And even from 2018 to now, my kind of feelings on things have evolved a little bit. But for those that do not want to sit through the entire podcast, and if I were to talk about all of this, it would take me a lot longer than 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm not in the right headspace to talk about a lot of this right now. But I will say this. This is what I will say. We've come together. We've split apart. We've come together. We've split apart. We're still apart. He's on the other side of the country. And I do not have a communication line with him. I do not speak with him. And we both know why, I think. I don't want to speak for him because I don't know where his head's at, but I can tell you he has not made any attempt whatsoever to contact me, so that tells me pretty much all I need to know. And he may never want to contact me, or he's a lot like me, and deep down inside we want to contact each other, but we're just waiting to see which one gets over their bullshit the fastest to reach out to the other. And I can tell you for a long time I've harbored a lot of resentment. I've harbored a lot of anger because I was always the one to make that first call. Anytime we had a problem, I was the first one to break the silence. And so all I wanted all of these years was for him to once break that silence and reach out to me. Is that selfish? You could probably say it is. That's fair. If you said it was, I wouldn't say that's unfair. But it's kind of how I felt. And I've had conversations about it with people, close to me. And I keep getting this resounding echoes of sentiment that people saying, just call him. Just call him. And then I go into the movie theater today, not expecting this at all, by the way. This is honest to God's truth. I did not read. I thought this was a biography about Fred Rogers. And because I liked his show, I'm like, oh, this might be a good movie. Tom Hanks, he is a great actor. I want to see, I want to see it. Well, this is what I got. And so now I leave still feeling a bit conflicted because on the one end, outside looking in, a lot of people that are not aware of the situation and the pain that I can only speak to from my side. I don't know where his head's at, but you've got, all these people telling you just call the man. And then you see this movie and in your heart, you're like, I want to speak to him. But then there's that inner conflict of, but Gary, you're always the first to make that move. You're always the first to call him first or to reach out. He never once tries. The man hasn't even flown to the state of Virginia in 20 years almost. My graduation will be 20 years next month. That's the last time he stepped foot in the state of Virginia. Not once has he gotten on a plane to come come see me since that time. And I know this story may be true to a lot of you. Maybe some of you out there are also going through something like this. And it is a level of difficult that is so hard to describe to so many. But here I am. Probably a few steps away from making that call. But then what? You know, we never had the greatest relationship. What's the payoff? You know what I mean? Like, what does he gain? What do I gain? I mean, I know what I gain. I get to talk to the man, but at the same time, it's like, you know, why? Why? This man has not made one attempt to reach out to me. And to me, in my opinion, that speaks such loud volumes. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better emoji today than a broken heart, because that's kind of where I'm at right now. Every time I think I'm out, things keep just pulling me back in. Conversations, movies. You know, I thought about just jumping on a damn plane and going again, because I care so much. But when you see the person on the other side and they don't, or the perception is that they don't because they don't show you, then it leaves you wondering, like, what am I doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I wish I could figure it out. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.